telling me to start it, not join it.
It's the first time I'm here on time and it's already started.
You're not
running
right.
late.
Clicking on the agenda?
Okay, yeah. that's
No,
one.
usually if I go directly through Zoom, it has me.
Let me know when you're set, Gus.
Who did that? I told you to be quiet. Okay, I think you can start, Pete.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm here. Yep. I'm good.
Okay, good. I'm no longer up on the TV. I was like, I was a little too much looking up there and seeing that head.
It's a big.
All set.
All set? Ready, Mike? Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 30 Board of Selectmen meeting. We remind everybody that we are video recording, and we always start with a moment of appreciation for our troops that are serving around the globe, especially at this time when our country is at war. Thank you. Our first appointment is with the town clerk, Marion Benaldi, to present the warrant for signature. September 1, 26, primary and early voting schedule. Welcome, Marion. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. So I know it might seem early to be talking about a September 1st primary, but it really isn't. So the primary is September 1st. We will have voting at the COA that day from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. as always. We're going to be having early voting, which we are mandated by the state to do. That will be in this building here, actually, in this room. We're going to be doing that on Saturday, the 22nd through Friday, the 28th. We will then set up for the election on Monday, September 30th, and then we will, August 30th, and then we'll have the primary on the 1st. So I'm asking for you guys to sign the warrant so that I can get it posted. I'd like to get it posted before everybody's summers begin. So I'd like to post it with the early voting schedule so people will know that it's coming. And I'd like you to approve the early voting hours just to say that we did. And then I believe that is kind of it. Though you'll be getting, or residents or required voters, registered voters will be getting the little postcards in the mail that they started in 2020 regarding vote by mail ballots. They'll be going out from the Secretary of State's office around July 15th. So that's why I'm here.
All right, questions?
Sounds pretty straightforward to me.
I think it's pretty straightforward. I think it's smart to jump
Questions
on.
here? Thank you for running our elections so
Oh,
well.
yes.
Do we have a
A motion?
motion then?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Marion.
Thank you for running our parade, too. Next is Dave McCready to discuss proposal for a new access point to 66 North Street.
Dave does not appear to be here yet. So why don't we'll just hold him until he arrives.
We'll skip Dave and we'll go to number 3, Gene Minio to request Select Board to sign a letter of consent as the landlord for a bridge loan Belforge is applying to from the nonprofit finance group.
Yeah, just give a little bit of insight as to what's happening there.
So it's, we're looking for a $2.5 million loan. We have the pledges to pay it back. But it's part of the process that we need to put in place in order to get our federal historic tax credit investor and then ultimately get our construction loan and stay on track schedule-wise. So there's some urgency to doing this month.
Say it one more time.
There's urgency to doing it, completing this process in July.
In July, okay.
Otherwise, the contractor will start to demobilize, and I'm not going there.
Do you have some sort of template that you're looking for? How should we write it?
I reached out to the Nonprofit Finance Fund. I didn't hear back from them today, but when I get that, I can
Okay.
forward that to you,
Then
Brittany.
we'll have it signed after that then.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
So,
That's
so
it.
I think I heard what you said. With bridge loans, it's a short-term loan to get you across the river to the other side of the bridge.
Yep.
I was originally thinking the other side of the bridge would have been qualifying for the historic tax credits, but I think what you said is, no, the other side of the bridge is bringing in the additional pledges that you actually need. But with the bridge loan, you can keep the historic tax credit process in place. You can keep the
Correct.
construction project going. Okay,
Correct, and the schedule will remain.
okay.
Yep.
It's not a binding letter, and it's just saying that we're the landlord, we're cool with what you're doing, you're not
Yep.
doing anything in violation to our agreement, so.
Exactly.
Does
Thank
this
you.
mean the price of margaritas at Belfort is going up?
No, again, we already have the pledges to pay it back,
Oh,
so,
you do have the pledges.
We
I
do.
thought you said you needed the pledges, okay.
no, we have the pledges, but
They just haven't they haven't followed through on their pledges.
Yeah.
Okay.
You all set? I'm all set too. Do we have a motion then?
So moved?
Second, just to be clear, we're moving to sign the document that we will ultimately see. We have, okay. So second.
Yes, we're consenting to the
You
existence of a
got our
bridge
signature,
loan.
we just don't know where.
That's very rare to get.
Well, normally, we don't have you sign something without seeing the document.
Yeah.
But given our meeting
Yeah.
schedule for the rest of the summer, we didn't want to hold Jean up.
thank you,
No, that makes sense. I got it.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
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 thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thanks,
Thank
Gene.
you. Good luck. Discussion items, North Harding intersection design discussion.
So you received a request from Jeremy Marset regarding the Hospital and Harding intersection and regarding the Harding and North Roundabout. It does not appear he was online. I did share with you that he might not be able to make the meeting this evening. His major concern is that, and I do have Mo here tonight to speak to this as well. His major concern at the hospital and Harding Street was that the sidewalks were not included in the project, restoration of the reconstruction of the existing sidewalk. We've gone back, we've reviewed the minutes. We were very clear that the town would take care of working on those sidewalks as related to these projects. Jeremy's other concern, which is the Harding North Street intersection, is that the, correct me if I'm wrong, Mo, the splitter islands, I learned these new terms. I'm gonna be a DPW engineer at some point. These splitter islands, and actually, Brittany, if you can put that up, maybe, I would just put the Harding at North Street. This is actually the form that Jeremy filled out and sent back to you. These are the islands that lead up to the roundabout. Now, the roundabout will have stamped concrete around the outside. We'd actually like to talk about the color tonight because we've been asked about the color, so we'd like the select board to weigh in on the color of the stamped concrete. The center of the island will be green, and that we anticipate being able to have the garden club come back in and work with us on that. So it will be a landscaped island, but it's these smaller.
The lane dividers, basically.
Yeah, that's a better word for it. What you're looking at right now is we had Jeff Kedorts from VHB do projected and proposed future sidewalk locations. And those sidewalk locations would meet up with those center traffic lane dividers. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that as well. Jeremy is suggesting that those splitter islands or the traffic dividers be grass or landscaped in nature versus concrete. And I believe in his email, he states that he does not believe that cement is appropriate for that intersection. So we, Select Board approved the design for this, so we felt it was best to come before the three of you to make a decision. I know individually, he had asked you to weigh in, but it's most appropriate to have all three of you weigh in. And then obviously Mo will be in charge of maintaining them once they're constructed. So we had him to come in and talk about this as well.
So Mo, do you have anything to add to what Chris has said?
Well, I think, we would like to see low or no maintenance on those splitter islands. The issue with grassing them, they may look better at the beginning, but the only way to be able to maintain those, I'm not gonna have someone go into between the lanes and put a hand mower out there. That's just not gonna be safe for our employee to do that, and you'd have to do on a relatively narrow area. I understand, some people don't like the concrete, but if we did that, I know Jeremy was saying, well, we could use our roadside vegetation mower. Well, that's a giant John Deere tractor with a huge boom flail on it, with large diamond head teeth that will cut it up a little rough.
Yeah.
And to do it smoothly, you'd have to go over it and over and over it. And you would be blocking those lanes for a little while before people could get through. So all three approaches. So I don't think it's not ideal to have grass in there, but there are some other alternatives if you wanted to. You could either pave it, you could concrete it, you could put decorative stone in concrete so it would be secured if you wanted to look into something like that. I'm not sure what the cost would be to add any kind of decorative stone, but that would be no maintenance. You could pave underneath and put a thin layer of concrete so that no weeds come up, and then put decorative stone if you wanted to. That's just a thought that we had.
We did talk to Jeff Ketteritz from VHB. This project, as you know, is under construction. They're out there right now constructing it. There would likely be no cost savings at this point because the contractor has already ordered all of the material for it. I know that Jeremy had cited in his letter to you that there would be a cost savings, but Jeff did not believe at this time there would be because the contractor's already ordered everything. So it would be a change order to put anything different into those islands.
Concrete would be the easiest to maintain because, especially if, even if we have like a large snowstorm and we have to go out there and clean off those splitter islands, we wouldn't be ripping up grass, we wouldn't be removing stones or anything loose there. So that's why we, the best for our maintenance purposes is a no maintenance islands.
Mr. Verby?
So I have two unqualified comments about my opinion about the request. One is that when you're in the middle of construction, it's never a good idea to go back into design while the construction's going on. I doubt very much that that's a no-cost process, leaving aside the material. So that that was the first reaction I had. The second one, though, has got more to do with safety. We have 3 locations for crosswalks. They use the splitter. The good part about that with a roundabout is that when someone wants to get from across the road, you only have to clear one lane to get to the splitter, and then the other lane to get to the other side. So that's sort of the nice, in my view, that's nicer than having a crosswalk that goes across both lanes at this intersection. Because of that, because of the proximity to the schools, I anticipate that while adults riding bikes on the road will use the roundabout like as if they were a car, I'm anticipating that kids on smaller bikes will want to use the crosswalks because they're using the sidewalks all along. Having a splitter island that has grass on it is going to be harder and potentially more hazardous for a kid on a bike than if it's just a hard surface like anything else and they just are getting across it like a sidewalk. Those are my 2 unqualified opinions. I will throw both of those out if you give me a recommendation that we do the grass. Otherwise, I would say I'd be in favor of staying where we're at.
Ms. Murphy?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to speak both with Mo, and then I spoke with Jeremy for quite some time, and I totally respect his opinion, but I think that sticking with concrete right now is actually the smartest thing, and I think we saw when we saw the white poles, people don't respond well to change, and this is gonna be a rather dramatic change, and I would rather be as safe as humanly possible, having rock-solid dividers, and then if we are going to be putting the crosswalks in, meeting sidewalks on the various sides to help with access for pedestrians, I think having concrete on either side makes the most sense. And I mean, I watched just the sidewalk in front of Metacomet get the crap kicked out of it, and I'm glad that it's cement, because if it was anything less than cement, I think it would deteriorate, and it's gonna take a little while. And I, you know, we've lived here long enough, in 5-10 years, there may have to be some alterations, and if people are used to it, and it's a different environment, but I'm 100% fine staying with the cement, especially because if it's already been purchased, let's not make any change orders now. We're good to go.
Okay, so I had a different reaction, which was that, let me just mention Jeremy's credentials in this. He's the current town administrator in Sherburne. His positions before that were as the head of the DPW in Natick, and before that he was the town engineer in Framingham. He is a licensed engineer, so he's well qualified to give opinions on this, and I welcomed his opinion. I thanked him for it, and I passed it along to Christine and to Mo, because he sent it to just the select board, I think. I think of this as sort of analogous to the splitter down where Hospital Road hits Route 27. I know Ken Feeney didn't want to have a garden club use of that, but I think that the garden club was very successful there in terms of making something that, even though it's a very difficult area to grow stuff in, I think that they've made a very nice looking area in a very difficult spot. And I in my mind, if we weren't going to do grass, we could do something like that. And that, to me, that is much more appealing than the concrete. So I would hope to switch to something more appealing looking. It sounds like your board,
What's that?
it sounds like your board of select board, which operates by majority decision, although wants to stick with your concrete. Is that what you're?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, so I think you're sticking with your concrete then, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in terms of working on the sidewalk at Hospital in Harding, Mo and I had a conversation that there is the opportunity and some Chapter 90 money to be able to rebuild that small section of sidewalk. And I believe we talked about that at a prior meeting, that we would try to do that sidewalk work when possible.
I would say that we've had 2 lengthy public discussions around the crosswalks for the roundabout, and I've come away, I think in each time we've said, listen, that's not something we can do under the funding for the intersection, but it is something we can do. And I've kind of, at least personally, walked away with an impression that that will be a high priority for the town to put that in.
Yep.
It won't just be, yeah, that's number 35 on the list of 40, that once this is up and running, it'll become very clear why we need to have crosswalks. So for those who care about those crosswalks, I think this is a case where you can expect, I'm speaking beyond myself, but I would think this is something that will be a priority for the town going forward to put those in.
Well, and for me, I know that I pushed the traffic engineers to push the roundabout over, away from the stone wall in front of the house at the corner on Wheelwright, because I wanted to get enough space there to run a sidewalk around the corner onto Harding, and I'm hoping that that's going to be there. Now, it looked to me like it is on the plans, and I'm hoping that maybe the town can extend that sidewalk, maybe up to West Street or somewhere. Just get people around the corner there, is my thought at some point, so.
We are trying to get some more complete streets monies to expand our sidewalk network. It just takes time for those monies.
Well, I mean, you guys have the capability of building the sidewalk, right? I mean, you've got a sidewalk paver and.
We do have a sidewalk paver. The granite curbing, we usually have a contractor come in to make sure that it's, put in. Our guys can do it. They're working on the cemetery. They're working on a lot of different projects right now, but, we have to, there's a lot of things that are needed for our assistance that we just don't want to get spread too thin right now, that's all.
So let me just make some comments about the new intersection at Harding and Hospital. I'm a heavy user of that intersection, and to me, it's a little disappointing. I don't like it the way it turned out, unfortunately. People blow through the stop signs, and it feels like the turning radius when you're coming off a Hospital onto Harding is pretty tight. And I'm just concerned whether the street was made a little more narrow than is commodious. It just feels like it's not wide enough to me, but I'm not sure. I know that I've had at least one resident complain to me about it already.
I know the traffic engineers, they do design towards, Mass DOT's standards, so.
Yep, absolutely, I'm sure.
And just to be clear, this was not Mo's
Mo's,
project.
right.
This
Oh,
was
I know.
approved by the select board. I
No,
just
it's
don't want to
fine.
put Mo on
That's
the hot
fine. No,
seat.
it's-
This
that's
was not
fine.
his
No, that's fine.
project.
I was about to say the same thing.
But I when the engineers, when they designed it, they put the radiuses to the Mass DOT standards, so it is, I guess it is to code to what is supposed to be there, it's just the appearance may not, but it
Yeah,
does
and
work.
Maybe when they put the actual stop signs up
Yeah.
and maybe when people get a little more used to stopping. But at the moment, people aren't stopping much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think part of it, because I've had more than one car in front of me. I had a big van just this morning blow right through, headed north on Harding. And I think what it is that the stop signs are on these little tripods.
Yep.
People see it on a tripod on the side of the road. They go, oh, that was for use
That's-
at the
that's what
construction
construction,
site. Now
right.
it's off on the side, and there's no stop line. So trying to figure out exactly where you're supposed to stop. Probably you don't want to go beyond the sign, but the sign itself puts you almost halfway into the intersection. So I think you're right. Once the stop line is actually painted in, once it's a real stop sign, that's good. The reaction I had with Hospital when I first saw it was the opposite of Pete's. I said, this thing is too wide. It's going to be too easy for people to try to blow through there. So I actually pulled in, not to your street, but the first street, and turned around and tried it. And it's like, no, it's a 90-degree intersection. That was by intent. And as a 90-degree intersection with one lane each way, it's fine. I'm guessing the people on the corners will be happy about that because the people coming off Hospital have been used to just kind of having a straight
A lot of
curve.
the intersections that were done, in the past that didn't use the standards that are today, they were able to take those right-hand turns pretty good because the radiuses are very long. Now what they try to do is with traffic calming, it's not to deter people from, going at a decent rate, but with a stop sign, there's no reason for them to be able to whip around the corner. That's like Pine Street, there's a big winding,
Yeah.
radius as well. So as we get to these intersections, we would tighten them up for that purpose.
We wouldn't build Pine and North the way that that's configured now, would we?
As with a roundabout,
No, Pine and North, where you have that split.
what the island is, no. My recommendation, when that ever comes up, would be to just tee that into
Yeah.
North Street and have a regular intersection with the island
That's what
gone.
we did on Bridge Street and 109, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the purposes of those islands in a rural community, just a suburban area that, I'm not sure what the purpose was to allow people to take turns without other traffic in the way, but it does
can't-
cause
You
issues.
can't make sharp turns on horse-drawn wagons. I think those are all traditional intersections.
Right,
Yeah, I think a lot of Medfield streets are just cow paths that got paved,
right.
so.
Yeah.
Mr. Massaro,
I just want to emphasize what Gus was discussing. So I've probably had about maybe 9 trips coming into town. At least 4 of them, people have blown right straight down, right through. In fact, I stopped at the police station the other day. I understand it's not DPW's concern or anything else. The police have had a cruiser station there. Giving somebody a ticket or a warning, whatever, may be fine, but it isn't going to get the rest of the traffic that's coming through there. I mean, also, a couple of times, the signs have been knocked over. My suggestion, and I don't know how you can do it, or if you can do it or not, but I mean, number one, I think you need a stop line, number one. I mean, somebody ought to get out there with a paintbrush and do a stop strip, and you ought to get the signs up either higher or more obviously a stop sign, and something that isn't going to blow over in the wind or anything else. I mean,
Do you know what's holding that up, Christine? Do you know why they haven't done that
You
yet?
know, I'll have to check in with the contractor.
Yeah, because it's kind of odd. I will say. like, they
Somebody's gonna
got-
get hurt. I mean,
In fairness, it's still an active it's still an active site, so I'm
it is,
guessing
but the
some of that.
temporary measures are not, that's like putting up a safety rail, you know, a foot short than what it should be. I mean, I don't see it.
I'll let Dan Moore know.
Yeah, especially because they've already moved on to the roundabout. It's like, okay, I thought they were gonna do one and then move to the other, instead of leaving one still kind of active and then still moving on to the second one.
So my thought with if people continue to blow through the stop signs is to put a rumble strip or even maybe a speed bump
Not gonna
and
happen.
just stop them that way.
Well, I think we'll do, we're gonna do some education, it's some change, it's a different traffic pattern. I
Hopefully it'll-
remember about 20 years ago when we put the new stop sign at the Dale Street School. Both Ken Feeney, myself, and Mike Sullivan were the first 3 people to drive right through it. So it does take some education and some time to get people used to a new traffic pattern.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would think of, I think once there's real stop signs there and the stop line, this goes away, so it sounds like it's a matter of when the project gets to that point in finishing off the intersection, but that's actually one intersection that's occurred to me, you know how some stop signs will, if it's a stop in all directions, like in this one, it would say a little sign below the stop sign that
All-way.
says 3-way stop or
Yeah, yeah,
all-way
yeah.
stop. Because that's not how we were doing it, so people coming north on Harding never had to stop. People coming out on Hospital never had to stop. If you come up to the intersection, now it almost seems in some cases like people on Hospital, they stop. And even when they want to go right, and they see you're in the right-hand lane going north on Harding, they wait to make sure that you don't veer into their lane or something. Those folks seem to be very respectful because they don't know exactly what the intersection's looking for. So
I will talk to the police chief too, to maybe install some temporary stop ahead signs prior to those stop signs, because they are new. Just to warn people there are stop signs ahead, so.
I like the 3-way. If that actually would be smart. So when you get there, you do realize that even though it's a new pattern and so people have not been used to stopping in certain ways, so that makes sense if we can do that.
The other solution, Mo, that occurred to me, if you're involved in any of this at all, is stop signs that have the red lights that blink to catch people's attention.
Those are, those can be purchased. They're a little pricey for, just compared to a stop sign, but it is doable.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, hopefully it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Pete?
Yes.
Microphone? Kathy, we're gonna get you.
Kathy Herbzuber, OVS. My question is on the new crosswalks that will be put in, where that roundabout is. Will there be a button to push to have a flashing light to let people know that are driving that someone's crossing the crosswalk?
So I think that's too premature to say that just yet. We have a potential design of where the crosswalks and the new sidewalks could go, but we don't have any funding in place and we don't have a full design yet. When we had VHB do the sidewalk plan, it was just a projected where they could go plan, because we didn't have the funding within the grant to do that work. So it's premature. I would recommend that, but I think
Okay.
it's premature to say that they're
Okay,
going
well,
in.
as
Yep.
long as you'll recommend it, that, and the other
Off the top
thing,
of my head on that,
I'm sorry?
we did that, off the top of my head on that, I'm trying to picture a roundabout which is designed to process traffic going through. If the crosswalk goes to the splitter and people hit a button, unless
gonna
we
get you all
have
the way
multiple
across.
buttons for both sides of the splitter, so that's 6 of them, I think that's overkill. You're either gonna shut the roundabout down all the time because you're closing both lanes, or you're gonna have like 6 of these things. If we were to do that, I would actually think you'd wind up moving the crosswalks farther upstream of the splitter, so that if you're gonna block the whole thing, block it when people go all the way across, not when people only go halfway and stop at the splitter.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea to do that, but
Part of the benefits of roundabouts is the cars are going so slowly that they see the pedestrians, and the roundabouts that I read about in the UK and England, they actually didn't bother with crosswalks, and people could just cross anywhere they wanted because the cars were going so slowly, and the cars would see the pedestrians step off the edge of the road and they just stop. So hopefully that's the way it'll work.
I would hope that would be the case. The other point that I'd like to mention is the roundabout with the garden club. There had been water at that site because I'm a member of the garden club.
There's
Will
a
that-
hydrant,
Will that
a
stay
yard
there?
hydrant that's gonna be left there for
Oh,
watering.
good, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Anybody?
Thanks.
Thank you, Mo.
Hold on, we need to talk about the stamped concrete colors.
Do you want me to bring it?
If you can put it up on the screen,
In that.
and then we have to talk about that. Yep.
You see? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So these are the colors that the contractor recommends for the brick that's going to be around the center island of the roundabout.
Good.
So right now, I mean, they propose a gray color, but they're asking the town what color they would prefer for that brick area.
There was no Medfield blue, so.
That was my first thought, but this would be the part that if there were trailer trucks going around the roundabout, the trailer
could
truck would
use-
run up on these
Yeah.
things, but otherwise.
Bring
they
that
wouldn't
island back up.
be. And it's kind of it's,
Oh, this is very.
Tech savvy,
I-
baby.
I-
Okay, hold on.
I just assumed that you had it all under control.
Do everything so quick. Hold your horses. Hold on. That's not what
Mo, do you have any independent recommendation on colors for us,
I-
other than what they suggest?
You know, it's really a preference of the town, but, you know, I think gray is a little subdued so that people don't see it. It doesn't stand out, so people aren't afraid to maybe go on it.
Yeah.
If you put a color on there, they may say, oh, we're supposed to stay off of that kind of thing. It's mostly, yeah, that brick area, that hatched area around the circle, if you look at the slide. So that's the color we're talking about.
and it's a slight slope, right? It's not flush with the road, it's actually a slight upward slope.
It's bumpy, right? So you know you're on,
It's a little bumpy, but it's still open. It's not, there's no deterrent for you not to be able to get on there, but
Right.
you have a complete travel lane to go around. So it's really for larger vehicles and trailers, things like that, that their tires may be going on it to get around that circle. That's what it's made for.
Let me ask a question a different way.
Sure.
Is it flush with the road surface? It's brick, and then that means it
It's
hits.
just a little lip, but not much. It's not like it's a sloped granite where you're gonna have to ride up on it.
Okay,
It's a little bit, it's sort of like if you've been in Norfolk.
let me,
Yeah.
I didn't pay enough attention,
Oh.
because I wasn't running up in the circle. So I understand it's slightly above this, is it a level surface?
It will be level around this
So
circle,
it's
around
not,
the
it's not,
center.
I was thinking it'd be
No.
a slight slope.
No.
Okay,
No.
okay.
I think the gray makes sense.
Because if it was a slight slope,
Very
I
careful.
would want two colors, because for aesthetic reasons, I'd want two colors. If it's flat, I think gray is boring. I think I'd go with a different color,
Okay, Yeah,
but just
I mean-
one color.
yep. I mean, I guess it's the preference of the town.
I
No
think gray's
opinion
gonna look
here.
clean.
No, I mean, you know, most of our handicapped accessible detectable panels are of a maroon color or metal. They last longer, the metal ones. So, but in the other parts of town, we try not to use yellow. We try to use the maroon ones all the way through town. So if there's any kind of detectable panels there, they'll either be maroon or
Yeah, so
metal.
you don't want.
I think the gray looks clean, because it's gonna be up against, as it goes up, it's gonna hit cement curbs, yes?
there's granite curbs there now.
Granite curbs, yeah, I think
If
that's
you
gonna look
drive by
clean.
there now, there's
It's
high
already,
granite
yeah, it's already,
curbs now.
already there.
Yeah, that's why I think, yeah, gray and gray would look clean. That's just my 2 cents.
But then on the other hand, a gray, if it's close to the color of the road surface, people won't really necessarily see it as being separate from the road, so it'll be easy for them to drift on it.
I think it's
just
more
as-
difficult to ride on that than it is to ride in the travel lane with a regular
Sure.
vehicle.
Visually, if it's a close color to the road surface, people will visually pick up on it, is what I'm saying.
Right. If you had a different color, they would probably stay away from it more, just perception-wise. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that bottom picture up against that granite, I'm just trying to picture what those colors might look like and recognize it's not the big thing, but
Almost looks like brick, like, do we want
yeah,
brick?
it gives it a little bit of contrast. If you took just that first, like if you imagine just that first row, not everything to the left, it gives it a little bit of contrast, which,
How's that gonna wear, though? All right, so you're gonna get all sorts of debris coming and going. We just,
You know, if you look at other cities and towns where they have stamped concrete, you look at the ones on Green Street, the crosswalks, there's some,
yeah, near the Kennedy's
it's gonna
house.
wear something like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pete?
Pete, do you have a preference?
Oh, no, I said I didn't. No idea at all.
Yeah.
It's an indecisive result. I like the,
Any takers in the audience here?
Match the brick in the buildings in town.
mm,
I like the red.
Hmm?
I like the red. Like the bottom right?
Bottom right.
quarry.
Quarry red?
Yeah.
I'm disappointed there's no blue.
What did she say?
She's disappointed there's no blue.
It should be a Medfield blue.
I've got a bluestone, that would have been nice, right?
Yeah.
But then that might limit your colors that we're gonna put in the island for a garden club, so.
Oh, did you see the back of the page? No.
I know we're getting very late into the construction process, and he probably wants an answer on this, but do you know if we have any examples that somebody could send us that
I will get some,
have the red and the,
I will get some.
Okay.
He's not gonna do anything this quickly anyway.
okay.
Okay.
But maybe if we see another example of another town that's done that, might make our decision easier.
Okay.
Okay, so quarry red or the cool gray?
Between those two, the only problem is we're not meeting for a while, so we may need to have that decision sooner.
Can we do it via email if we just give our opinions? Because it's not like a serious vote, it's just a color of cement.
Yeah.
I mean, if Pete doesn't care, I can ask the two of you, and if you're the same, great, and if you're not, then we'll have to bring it back to a meeting.
That's fine with me.
You got-
On 109 in Westwood, all their crosswalks are the red brick.
Mhm.
I don't know whether it's stamped, but it really stands out.
Mm.
That's my fault. If you want to take a good look at it, you can drive.
Okay. Near like the mobile gas station, that whole area on 109?
Sorry?
Near like the mobile gas station on okay,
Goes all the way down by the past the firehouse. Every place has a light.
okay.
There's a red brick.
Mhm.
That's fairly new,
That's
Yeah.
Mo, thank you very much.
Oh, we have one more
For-
thing.
for- Yeah,
Oh, no, go ahead.
just to clear this process, I had an opinion, I kind of lean toward the red as well. You are gray, I wouldn't fall on my sword over either of one of those
Right, same here.
questions. I would be in favor of letting the interns that we have working for us this summer tell us which one they like the best.
You do have a comment in the chat. Chris McHugh-Potts says, "I'm with Gus and I agree on the brick-like color."
Yeah, I'm not married to,
We can,
I'm not
well,
married to any
now the interns are gonna have to find us some examples.
I like the gray, but I'm not married to it.
We could put a poll out and have the residents vote on what color they
Oh,
want.
boy.
I think we should tap the wisdom of the interns.
One last thing, I just wanted to kind of talk about, a little bit about the water restriction, the water drought that we have.
Okay.
Thank you.
The Massachusetts Drought Task Force meets periodically to look at the areas of all in Massachusetts. We are in the southeast region, which is this area right here. We're on the edge of the region, and we are considered an L2, which is a significant drought area.
Okay.
Basically, with a significant drought, they recommend, the towns utilize water restrictions that they feel are acceptable to this kind of drought. In our Water Management Act permit, we go by the stream flow of the Charles River. It gets measured by a USGS gauge. We are it's measured in cubic feet per second. We have 170 cubic feet per second that we're allowed until June 30th, which is today. Tomorrow it changes to 62 cubic feet per second. If it drops below those numbers for 3 consecutive days, by our Water Management Act permit, we need to go to 1 day per week. Okay?
Watering 1 day per week.
With the significant drought and the stream flow, either or, but the stream flow dropping down below 62 cubic feet per second tomorrow. Now, today we were at 57.6 in the morning. We just had some rain, so it may go up, but it needs to go up for 7 days before we can change that back. So we're in a Tier 3. A Tier 3 water restriction means that we allow 1 day per week for watering, Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays for even-numbered houses, Thursdays for odd-numbered houses. We are going around to, we put it on last week. We are going around and giving some leeway so that people can understand. And we're sending out, if they are watering on other days, we are sending out notices to educate them on what our Tier 3 is and what we are for a restriction. After that, we will be handing out violations, unfortunately, but we do have to protect our infrastructure and comply with the state,
Unless they have private wells.
unless they have private wells.
Mo, can you change, I've driven by, I saw Tier 3 and 1 day a week, and I said, wait a minute, we ordinarily have 1 day for odd and 1 day for even. Is there any way to add that? Like right now, when I drove by, it sounded like everybody's watering 1 day a week, and I don't know what day of the week it is.
Right.
As opposed to saying watering only Monday for even.
So we can't put that on the sign, so we do say visit the website, and it has it all written out. Actually, this is the,
I don't read all that, I just read 1 day a week.
this is the notice that's on our website
Yeah.
that does explain what the Tier 3 is.
Okay.
We could try to put another sign out underneath, another placard that says,
Monday even numbered hour. or whatever.
Monday
However,
even,
I would. I
Thursday
don't know.
odd, but I mean,
I drove by it, I read it and said, wait a minute, are we all doing one particular day a week now? That
Right.
doesn't make sense, because then you're making a maximum draw on a particular day. And I was not trying to violate anything, I was just trying to understand what the sign was
Right.
telling me, so.
Right. So that's where we are with the restriction. We do, if it becomes worse, and it's all about the infrastructure in the town. If it takes our wells, if we run our wells 24 hours a day trying to keep up with the demand and filling our tanks, then we would have to do something to do a little more severe restriction, whether it's handheld watering only or no watering at all, which we don't want to do that. We want to give people a chance to water their lawns, but we can't allow it to do it every day.
We have our new trees. We can't let them die.
Right.
Kathy?
You said about unless the people have their own wells, aren't we all pulling from the same aquifer?
So wells are not regulated by the town.
They're not
The
the
state
state?
will not regulate them as well. So,
Seriously?
seriously. And so,
You must have lived in New Jersey then.
the wells that, we have about 160 private wells in town. And they do not follow the restrictions that we have for the town watering.
Kathy, I'll give you an interesting point. So John Woodall, who's part of the Conservation Commission, gave a presentation maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I'd be happy to send it to you. He brought up some really interesting points that the average well, and correct me if I don't have these numbers right, but roughly the average well goes down 600 feet or so, which is significant. And the secondary aquifer is significantly higher than that. And what John was showing in the presentation is when we're draining from the secondary aquifer, it doesn't have any impact on what people are drawing from down here. And it takes months for the water at 650 feet to have any impact on what's happening up above. Because I thought the same thing you were thinking right now, but then when he gave this presentation, I was like, okay, like it's not like they're literally draining from the same level that our town water's coming from.
Yeah, I kind of think, though, we're all in this together. So
No,
if there's
I get it. I totally get it,
restrictions,
but it was interesting that-
restrictions. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I just had a quick question. You said that,
Excuse me, sir, can you just
oh,
identify
sorry,
yourself?
Steve Cole. Do you my address or 18 Hattershill?
Thank you.
Just a quick question. You said that you're able to send out like notices for people. Like, so can you guys detect when people are watering just by like their
No,
draw, or how do
you can't differentiate the watering. I
Right.
mean,
So how do you-
if it's a lot of watering, we assume it's from irrigation, but we don't know for sure unless we actually see what's going on out there.
Right.
So our guys do drive around, they do take, we try not to do too much on overtime, but that's when people are watering, is early in the morning on days that they're not supposed to be watering, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, and we have a lot of people, residents that call us and say, hey, my neighbors and this neighbor and that neighbor's watering. we really can't go by people calling us in and saying, hey, you need to send them a letter, you need to send them this. We appreciate that, but we would have to observe it ourselves to be fair to the resident, because maybe they're not watering, so.
Thanks.
It's from 9 to 5 during the day that watering is not allowed. So 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the day, we're not allowed to water. So anytime from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., it's allowed on that particular day, whether it's Monday or Thursday.
But if we have to water our new trees that were just planted from the town?
Handheld watering is
Oh,
allowed.
good, okay, all right. I can't let my red maple die.
So-
All right.
Yeah, but it's about the infrastructure, and that's why we do it. It's not. I mean, we'd love for everybody to have nice green lawns, but if it's going to affect any kind of fire flow or any kind of, fire suppression or drinking water, and our tanks are too low for pressure and everything, we don't want that to happen in the town as well. So,
Makes sense. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mo.
thank you.
So, given the way that this item unfolded, I just wanted to make a comment. I just wanted to read from the Mass Municipal Association authors a handbook for select boards, and I just wanted to read from that handbook. Governance by committee. A select board operates as a collective decision-making body. An individual member of the board may act independently only if specifically authorized by the board. The legal authority of select board members is limited to actions taken by the board as a legally called posted meeting. If a board member wants to accomplish specific objectives, the member must find a way to work with the other members of the board and with other town boards. If there is a professional administrator, the select board member should work through him or her. Select boards are overstepping their bounds if they get involved in the daily operations of a department or try to solve problems that should be handled by the administrator or staff. Select board members should stay out of day-to-day municipal management. Okay, next we have a review and discuss the letter from a group of concerned Medfield residents regarding ways to celebrate Pride Month. And I see Sarah Zatoli's here. Who's going to present on this, Sarah?
I mean, I can present, I'm happy to, I have things to say, I don't know if I'm.
Okay, we have your email that was sent to us before our last meeting,
Yes.
but it wasn't in time to be on the agenda. It is on the agenda tonight, so
Thank
please,
you.
go ahead.
So, I'm here as a resident who grew up in town and chose to move back to town. So I speak as someone who experienced Medfield public school systems, and I also speak as someone who has young children and wants them to grow up in a community that is accepting and loving, where they know that they are valued no matter who they are or who they love. And so I've seen a lot of positive transformation in Medfield over the past 30 years, but in a lot of ways we are not where we should be, in my humble opinion. The ask of the select board, or the ask to the town, that we formally recognize Pride Month, there's been a lot of response to that as though it's just symbolic. But I think that it is a starting point and not a finish line. And I understand what was said earlier, this is the select board and we're not, not, that the statement that was made by one member of the select board does not necessarily reflect the views of everyone, but there were some transphobic remarks there, and also just like reaction from people in town that shows how important and necessary this is. And if you look at our website, you can see all of the surrounding communities that are recognizing Pride Month. Millis, Medway, Franklin, Dedham, Natick, Sharon, Needham. I don't have the full list in front of me, but so other towns are finding a way to do it. And when it comes to the transphobia specifically, there's a stat that was shared by my Reverend about 2 months ago that really stuck with me. And that is that, according to the Trevor Project, every year, 1 out of every 2 transgender youth seriously contemplate suicide. And 1 out of every 5 of them will attempt it. And having lost an immediate family member myself, not to suicide, but I know that the first thing that we think when that happens is, what could I have done? You know, could I have taken them to that appointment sooner? Could I have done something so they knew they weren't alone? Whatever it is. And I don't want to be in line at Roberts Mitchell's funeral home one day and thinking, what could I have done to make Medfield a more accepting, visibly welcoming community? Now is the time. This is my time machine. Here I am. And I think that it's time that Medfield comes together and does one small thing to show everyone in town that they are welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Murphy, any questions, thoughts?
Well, I think because you're, without calling me out, we're referring to the comments I made last week. I want to emphasize that what you say you're looking for is not different than the point I was trying to make when I was calling for concrete action. I'm not setting this up to be a debate on this. I just want to respond to that. The email that we received basically said your group was going to be working on a series of ideas. So to be very clear, I'm interested in hearing those ideas. That my point was a reaction to we have a flag policy on how we do things, and it was not adopted for this particular issue. It was adopted at a time that we were trying to keep the town out of the polarizing issues.
Right,
that I think in the last 2 weeks, you see what it was we were hoping to stay away from, and I acknowledge my comment dragged us into it. So I'm sitting there saying we had the policy for a reason. I undercut it through what I chose to say and how I chose to say it. So go ahead.
Okay, well, since you opened that door, my understanding is that the timing around the flag policy was an immediate reaction to George Floyd's death and not wanting to put up a Black Lives Matter sign. So I don't think that
That's incorrect. It's incorrect. And I've posted that. It came after George Floyd's death, but it had to do with the fact that the nation itself was very polarized around a number of issues, and what we were trying to do was to get out in front of it. The immediate issue that was on the table that we shot down was the Medfield Coalition on Suicide Prevention that wanted to bathe the town hall in purple and turquoise light for September, which are the colors for September's Suicide Prevention Month. And that was what the ask was. And we said the problem with that is oddly enough, we weren't talking about Black Lives Matter. We were talking about, well, if we do this, then in October, it'll be maybe Blue Lives Matter, and then suddenly the town will be drawn into a competition, or not into a competition, into a situation where we get multiple requests from different groups asking to basically co-opt the town to speak on their behalf, and we wanted to stay completely out of that. Quite aside from that, I think as a town, certainly in the time I've been on the Board of Selectmen and the Select Board, I think we've done our best to keep the rules as free and open as possible for groups that want to say something. We don't have restrictions on what people can do if they're using town property for events. And that was deliberate, and it doesn't matter, what group you're from. But it actually, just to be clear what the record was, it was actually a request from the Medfield Coalition on Suicide Prevention. Who can be against that? And the second person that got hurt by it was Liz Sandman, who for a number of years always had a flag in the front lobby of the town hall during organ donation month, which I think is July, if I remember. It's been a few years, but I think it's the month of July. We always allowed that. We turned around and said, Liz, you can't do that anymore either. And then since then, actually, to my knowledge, the groups that have been shot down have been, the fire chief was told to take down a thin red line plaque that he had behind his desk, because we said there's absolutely the town is not speaking and taking positions. The town is staying out of all of it. He had to take that down. Mo, is Mo here? Mo's gone. Mo actually got, I didn't even know there was an orange line. You know, the orange is for DPW workers. He bought them baseball hats and T-shirts. And we told him, you're gonna have to collect them all, because that's, so the enforcement action that we've had has actually been almost entirely against, in fact, I think entirely against people that, if you just asked for sentiment, they'd be probably the people that you do your best to accommodate.
Well, I want to address some of the things that you said. So, for starters, you talked about other groups, and you mentioned who can be against that. Well, and as you said before, you called the flag polarizing. I think that when someone encounters homophobia in our town, when someone encounters transphobia in our town, I think a visual symbol that doesn't reflect or represent who we are as a community. I think there's power in that. I don't think that there is the same animosity towards some of the groups that you've mentioned, but I'm not opposed to other groups or observances. I think that the fact that there's a flag policy actually means that we are in a great spot for making an amendment to a policy that already exists. And I think that to say that we can't, there's a slippery slope argument, no, we can't allow the pride flag because then we would have to let any and all groups hang their flag or their signage. That's just, I think that is to say that the town is incapable of writing a clear policy that would, really make it clear what's allowed and what's not. And we can permit specific flags. We could, have an approved list. There's a lot of different avenues. And the fact that all of these other towns are able to look, we can consult their select board, see what are you doing? What's your flag policy? How is it written? How are you making this work? And come from if we're coming from the perspective of how can we make this work? What can we do? Then I think we'll get there. But if the goal is to just say, no, I'm sorry, I think that we are too wed to a policy than we are to doing the right thing. I also just want to say that the transphobic remarks that you made, I think I would like to see, and I don't know how this is done or if this is the appropriate way to call for this, but you also mentioned other things that can be done. And one thing that I would like to be done is I would like for employees of our town to have to take bias training, to have to learn what is and what is not an appropriate thing to say, the anti-bias training that I know I have to take at my workplace is just mandatory every year. And I think that we could do something like that would prevent remarks being said that are going to live forever, that people will be able to look and say, wow, someone who's an elected leader said this thing that really hurts me. And whether that was an intended or not, there's education that can be done. If you look at our website, we do have other proposals. We are very much willing and ready to work to find other ways to recognize and celebrate Pride Month. This, as I said, is a starting point. It's not the finish line. And I think that one of the things that we can do certainly is agree that there's more that can be done that we're not doing. Mm-hmm. And rather than getting, there was a lot of commentary on which pride flag. And I said, I don't think that anyone in our group at least is saying, oh, it has to be the Progress Pride flag versus the Rainbow Baker flag. We don't care. We just want the sentiment to be shown. We just want to move the pendulum in the right direction.
Well, I'm going to dispute your characterization of my comments, but I, again,
Excuse me, sir, you said biological men.
Because I'm trying to get at the issue of physicality.
Okay, so explain all of the different intersex character.
No.
Okay.
Let me, I called out 5 things in my statement. I've actually
And I'm calling out your transphobia in this moment.
And I think you've used your own judgment on what I've said, and it's inaccurate. So you can have whatever indignance you'd like about it. You can have your opinion about why I said it. You can't tell me what I am or what I think.
I
or
can
what
tell
I
you
did.
that the terms
can
that you
tell-
used are deeply offensive.
In terms
and,
of-
and scientifically inaccurate.
Well, that's an interesting comment, but the point I would make is I was trying to get at a physicality issue, and that's it. And so there are issues that are not commonly recognized as being acceptable. Those were the issues that I was saying is what had confused the symbol and how people look at it. And the fact that you don't like that doesn't mean I'm wrong and you're right.
It's not that I don't like that. It's that you're using terminology that is offensive. That a anti-bias training would help you to learn.
Perhaps.
Whoa. Excuse me. LGBTQIA plus people are not inherently more at risk for mental illness and suicide. And I talked about the numbers earlier. The reason that they are more likely to suffer from mental illness or contemplate or attempt suicide is because of how they are mistreated and stigmatized by society. And a huge component of that is how trans people, especially trans young people, are treated. In areas where anti-trans laws or anti-trans movements have, for example, restricted trans youth from playing in sports, the uptick in calls to crisis centers, the uptick in suicidal ideations is absolutely astounding. And I think that it's the fact that you are doubling down when I am telling you that you have hurt people, you have offended people, and you should be saying, I'm sorry, how can I do better? What can I learn? Point out to me what I said that was offensive so I can do better. I don't want to hear what you were trying to do. That doesn't matter. Impact is what matters.
First off, I think what you just said is true. I think that truly reflects your perspective. And from my perspective, that's part of what the problem is. If we can't have a respectful conversation, if we can't sit there and say, I think this is wrong, this isn't really the way this should work, and all we get back is accusations of whether it's homophobic, transphobic, that cuts it off. That's not a one-sided, it really isn't a one-sided issue.
I didn't say it was a one-sided issue. I said that the language that you used was offensive.
I will accept that it's offensive, but I
you
need
don't
to know
care?
what, huh?
But you don't care. You laughed. I will accept it's offensive. So you
First off, I don't want to get this into a detailed debate about what we had talked before. So let's get back on point on something, only because I don't think we're not going to get to a resolution on this particular thing here right now.
You can have your own views and you can hold them.
Thank you.
And I can. I didn't come here because I expect to change how you as an individual feel. I came here to stand up for the people that are afraid to hang a pride flag on their own home because they don't want to be targeted. I came here for the people who are afraid to say who they are or who they love because they don't think they will be accepted. I came here because I refuse to sit back and have people think that no ally is going to come and voice their problems with what was said, which the fact that you continue to double down and not listen is very concerning to me. I think that I'm going to
Sure,
yield
go
my
ahead.
time.
I'll get to you in a minute. Thank you.
So can I make 2 points that I think are the real relevant points here, because a lot of this, the one piece of feedback that I got from a number of people after our last meeting was, you were okay to talk about your policy, and you were okay to, talk about what needs to be done in the process, but when you brought your own personal opinions into the discussion, you're out of line. I totally agree with that, 100% agree with that. It was great. It was great feedback. My personal opinion about any of these things around the decisions the town makes is irrelevant. The 2 things that I think are relevant right here in this discussion, one is we have a flag policy that says no flags, and 2, you've basically said, or I think the group that you're with has said, listen, what we want to do is come and give you a number of ideas about things that we think the town could do to make things better. and I welcome those things. Can't promise you the flag is one I'm going to support, but I'm saying I hope that's not the only idea. I don't think it is. And because the email talked about we're going to have real schedules and real budgets, I was sitting there saying, okay, those are real concrete things that you're going to recommend. I want to hear those. I do want to make it easier for people to live here. So it's not like I'm against that. I don't want people to feel like they have to hide in the shadows. If you look at the policy we have around anti-discrimination, we're
Which
very
is,
clear.
in that anti-discrimination policy, sexual orientation is explicitly not listed. It is not listed. You can fact check me right now because I read it last night.
I thought it was, but
It's
if
not.
it's not, it should be there.
It should be.
Yeah.
It
So that
should
may be one of your recommendations. that we
Sexual
have.
orientation and gender. We have many ideas, and we have looked at many
And
things that can be done.
I'd
And I
welcome
think that I have brought up one many times. That's anti-bias training, and I stand by that should be a requirement for every town employee.
So we're going to go to Eileen next, then me, and then you. Thank you. Eileen?
So I had the opportunity last Tuesday night to have a community conversation, and the reason I did it was twofold. One, as I explained at that meeting, I was exhausted at the end of the last meeting, and when Gus made the remarks that he did, in my head, 3.5 hours into it, I'm like, and also having a rather contentious meeting in general, I was like, he just didn't use the word corrupt or polarizing. And then I got home, and needless to say, that's what he did say. And I genuinely believe that silence by me is wrong. I did not want to stay silent. I think I 100% support the LGBTQA, and correct me if I say this wrong, AI plus? Okay. And I think it's really important. I mean, I have family members that have come out, and I'd be horrified if they felt they couldn't come to Medfield and be welcome. And then the other thing I'll be very honest about, and I said to the group, is I watch what happened in school committee. And when residents get flipped off by somebody and everyone just don't say anything, I'm not going to speak out of both sides of my mouth. I didn't agree with that, and I screwed up the week before in select board when the week before that, or the meeting before that, Chris Potts came and gave a citizen's comment, and we can't comment during citizen's comment. The citizens come and talk about what they want to share with us. Then the next week, again, being brain dead, exhausted, and whatever, in my select board minutes or select board updates, I didn't comment on that. I felt that what Chris went through was horrible. Right? That no one should be calling the police to a school building, period, with a potential false accusation. When someone's in a meeting and the person hosting the meeting is not asking someone to leave, no one should be asked to leave other than the person hosting it. And I felt like I'm not going to be quiet with what happened here. I'm not going to be quiet when I see some things going on in town that I just find unacceptable. And that conversation actually had I thought, really nice conversations, ideas that came up. Christine knows the next day I followed up with ideas that, I really do hope, Sarah, that we can come together and talk about, if we can't put a flag on a flagpole in 2027, where else could we potentially put them? And I talked to Christine about the idea of where the 375 banners are today. Let's use some of those. The 375 will be gone by 2027. What could we be putting onto those? But I just think it's for me, and I said it in the meeting, we can't talk. I've not seen these two gentlemen since 2 weeks ago tonight. Well, I wasn't happy with what played out, and I'm not on social media, which is why, again, I had a face-to-face. You're never going to find me on a keyboard, like, bantering back and forth. It's not who I am. I'll never do it. But face-to-face, having candid conversations are really important to me, and I found that night to be super helpful, not only with what Gus's comments, but people asked about state hospital. People asked about senior tax write-off benefits. People talked about the white poles, which that was the last question. I was so happy it was asked. I was like, okay, the night's complete. But I mean, I just think it's really important that we carry these conversations forward. And I will say, I'm going to do this now once a quarter, so you can bank on me having another community conversation in September. It was, to me, it was really helpful, and I hope that's potentially Sarah and Reverend Campbell when we can continue to make sure that conversations are staying front and center and not getting pushed out. So.
So I just had 2 points. One was that I disagreed with Mr. Murphy's comments, and second was that I look forward to trying to work something out with your group for next year. So we have another speaker. It allows people at home to hear you.
Yeah. So I'm Reverend Lynn Campbell. I'm the rector at Church of the Advent here in town. It's the Episcopal Church in town. I've never been to a select board meeting. I never really thought I'd ever attend one.
Thank you for coming.
But I felt very, very strongly after I heard the comments that were made at the last meeting, the transphobic comments that were made at the last meeting. Because when I hear comments like that, I think of the young people in my parish who told me that they feel like they can come to church because of the flag that is outside of our church. So if you've driven by on Pleasant Street, you'll see the rainbow flag that says "You are loved." And I've had people, so I disagree. I don't think it's a symbolic action. I think it's an action. It's a very important action because we have that flag. I've had people come on Sundays, and I've had young people come to funerals thinking they weren't going to be welcomed in that church, saw that sign, met me, and knew that they were welcomed, that they were loved by God, and that they were loved by a community. And I think that we should be, just as I'm trying to create a community, a church community that's welcoming and inviting and loving, I think we need to be creating a town also that's welcoming. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that that sign makes a difference. I had a young person come for their grandparents' funeral, trying to tell the story vaguely so I don't give things away that I shouldn't be. But this person had to show up as a man because that's how his family recognizes him, using that name, with male clothing on. And it was later, after the end of the funeral and the reception, that they came to me and were able to tell me their real name as a woman, and that they were able to introduce themselves as the woman that they are. And that, I have stayed in contact with that person, and that has helped change that person's life because they knew that they were welcomed. And I pray to God that they don't become one of the statistics because they found a place where they were welcomed. And those comments, the fact that you were still like doubling down on them, you are a person in power. People listen to you, and that comes with responsibility. And I feel like that responsibility was misused and has caused harm. And I think further action is even more needed now because of that.
I would just add that I know that Jean Minio told me that the pride flags that Belforge displayed, I think a year ago, got ripped down a couple times. I was just very distressed to hear that we had an issue with vandalism of pride flags in Medfield. So I just wanted to ask, Kathy McDonald is here, and I don't know, Kathy, if you had anything to add to this discussion. I know from sitting in a lot of your meetings, I know that a lot of these people that we're talking about are at much higher risk. I don't know if you had anything to add.
Hi, I'm Kathy McDonald, Director of Health and Human Services for Medfield. I think you can see there's a lot of strong feelings, there's a lot of passion about this, and I'm in a position that I can appreciate both sides of this. I can appreciate the select board trying to make decisions that they think protect the town with their flag policy. I was on that training that I think Maya put out, if I'm not mistaken, and heard the guidance about towns and municipalities and flags, so I have the benefit of understanding where that came from, not necessarily that it's right or wrong, but I understand how that decision was made. I was at some of those meetings when you discussed it. But I also sit with clients who suffer from not feeling like they can be their true selves, and I do think symbols are incredibly important for people, especially people who have been oppressed and don't have the privilege. My recommendation, to many people who have approached me about this issue has been maybe the workaround, which is let's get everybody else who's not on town property to throw some symbols up and show how loving we are and how inclusive we can be. But I also am a cisgendered straight, I can't say that I can speak from someone else's experience and perspective, and I want to put that out there first and foremost. So I would be happy to be included or involved or help in some ways. Our webpage, the first thing you see when you land on it is a pan flag, so we have that even, and I do work for the town, close your ears. So we do think symbols are important, and they are hung in our space because we have to know that people feel safe to open up there. So, but I do appreciate having been in that training and with that guidance, how the decision for the flag policy is made. So I'm sort of Switzerland here, I'm sorry, but.
So can I ask a question, Chris? So if we were to go forward with this training, right? And that obviously, if it was to go with the three of us, that actually qualifies as a meeting. So would it, and I'm not saying you have to say yes or no tonight, but just want to throw this out there. Would it be possible if we were doing the training, right, educating the three of us, but then anyone that's watching or anyone sitting in the audience is getting that training at the same time? So as a community, those that wanted to learn more, because a lot of times things are just said out of pure ignorance. It's like it's done, and then it's like toothpaste. You can't put it back in, right? But you can attempt to learn. So it's just food for thought. If we go forward with this, I'd love to have it like sitting here we are tonight, and anyone who wants to listen in can listen in.
Thank you.
Eileen, you're reading my mind. That's exactly what I thought.
You know, people at home can't hear you, and so,
Eileen, you're, you're reading my mind, offering it to the
can you
entire.
speak up, please?
Can
I'm
you-
having trouble hearing you. I have bad hearing.
That's not a speaker.
That allows the people at home to hear you.
Just talk loud.
Okay.
Really?
Poor Kathy.
You're reading my mind. I think that training offered to the entire community is an excellent idea. I don't know if it's possible to do that, but I think it's a great idea. So,
Again, Kathy McDonald again. I just want to say you were part of this. We did put on a community anti-bias training during COVID, and all of my staff was trained, and we opened it up to stakeholders in the community so that they then could trickle down and choose to train their staff. So it was very well. I think you were part of that, right, Jane? I'm pretty sure, yeah. But I have those resources and connections if people are interested in everything, some vetted resources, if you will.
So you could replicate that training pretty readily then at this point?
I didn't do it. We hired an outside vendor to do it. But it could be one of the ones in the mix if people want to look at what is, these things should be vetted and looked at. So, but I'd certainly be happy to pass that along if it comes to fruition.
Thanks, Kathy.
Send it.
Yes, sir.
Steve Cole, 18 Hatters Hill Road again. I just wanted to, thanks, Sarah, for comments, and just offer just my own perspective. So we have a LGBTQ family member here in Medfield, and it's kind of opened my eyes on a lot of things. And one thing that you learn as being kind of an ally to someone like that is you look for safe spaces, and the child isn't always aware of that, given the age, but it's something that my wife and I do. And what I notice when I drive around the surrounding communities and see the flag, to me, it's like there's kind of like an open sign or a light or whatever the analogy is. And then you come home to Medfield and the light's off. And there is really something to kind of seeing that flag there as just it's more than just sort of a symbolic sort of thing that I guess the symbolism is sort of I guess I'm talking in circles, but seeing that in other places and not seeing it here it's hard, and I appreciate the reason for the original flag policy, and it does sound like it's had its uses. I don't know if that necessarily means that the flag policy of 5 years ago should be the flag policy today. I think that's open to debate. I think it should be open for debate. I think it's healthy to reconsider things. I agree that some comments that Gus made came across as transphobic. I think these things can be hard to discuss, and the person in these sort of comments that may come across one way, but, you know, the person didn't intend something to happen. I mean, I think that happens a lot in a lot of marginalized communities, particularly like you, obviously I'm not a member of the community, but like in the Black and brown communities, you hear about microaggressions, things like that. I mean, that people may not, you know, intend for certain things, you know, but they may make things because of certain ingrained biases that they have. And I think that may be something that happened with Gus, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. I don't know what was in your mind, but I think it is important when someone raises it that at least you acknowledge it. And that would be a big first step, I think, is just an acknowledgement that, you know, it wasn't what I intended, but it came across that way. I don't think that, I think that the town is somewhat limited in what it can do in terms of, you know, how can we, if we're looking, you know, how can we support these people? I mean, there's a visual sort of thing that they can do, whether it's the flag on a particular flagpole or whether it's a rainbow crosswalk. I mean, it would be nice to have some sort of flags like the 375 banners are more visual than like the flag here in front of the townhouse. I mean, so my vote would be something like that, along kind of like what Medway does. But I don't want us to get lost in the weeds in terms of, you know, what particular people are saying on social media. I think that represents a small proportion of the community. So, one other thing that Eileen mentioned at her thing was, at her, what do you call it?
Community conversation.
Community conversation. You talked about recognizing this person named John Preston. John Preston, I did look him up. He was born in Medfield and was an author and an activist in the community. So maybe having a John Preston Day or something, you know, would be another sort of symbolic act that the town could do. I think the schools, from my experience with them so far, and I know this is outside of the gambit of the select board, but the schools, I think, could amp up what they're doing. I don't know if there's any relationship between like what you can do in the school board or not in terms of that, but I would like to see more coming from Dr. Marston and from the town.
Schools and the town are separate government structures, and never the twain shall meet, so they do.
That's what I figured, but I at least wanted to throw that out there. Another thing I mentioned on the community meeting was like putting a banner on the town website. So there are other things that I think we can do, and if we're really going to be sticklers with this town, with the flag policy, you know, maybe there are workarounds. But it sounds like there is also, that flag policy has sort of creeped into other things from what you said, you know, like whether someone displays something in the yellow flag or the yellow line or orange line or whatever it was, or the shirts, I guess, that the
orange.
Yeah,
the
like
DPW
whatever. It sounds like it's sort of crept a little bit outside of the specific flag policy. It seems like it's become just a more generalized town expression sort of policy is what I'm getting the sense of.
I think the original point was to not have the town be co-opted into carrying the message of particular groups who have views on things, to try to keep the town, town setting the guardrails for how, you know, protecting free speech. But in order to do that and do it legitimately, you can't have one group say, well, but you're actually biased in supporting the speech in a particular direction. So it's keeping it open without sort of compromising the town by being neutral.
Yeah, and I could appreciate that. And there is, the town can get into legal trouble. I know, like if I know that Boston had a problem with flags that were, I think they had some sort of city council approval process or whatever it was, and people would request flags to be flown, but they didn't have a written policy for why they would.
They went to
vote
the
up or
Supreme
down,
Court.
and so
That's actually why Medfield adopted a flag policy. It was
Right.
after that
But
Supreme
then-
Court case.
But I don't know if it's been tested, but it seems like a lot of other communities have gotten around this by having a closed list of these are the flags that we can fly. And that, I think that's, so for instance, amending the flag policy to say that you can fly the American flag, the flag of Medfield, and I don't know what else is on there, the POW flag and the Pride flag. And if there's another flag, whatever, but it's a closed list. It's not, and it can be amended, but it's a closed list for the purposes of, at any one point. It's not, and you can also request and we'll consider it without any written policy.
So I think that level of detail is what we're maybe needing to work towards.
Right.
And I think we need a process going forward to figure out what we're going to be doing. We've got a comment or a question behind you.
You have a comment online, too?
I just wanted to say again that I think it's worth relooking at the flag policy. As he said, a policy from 5 years ago may not be the policy that works for today. And other towns have figured out how to do it. And I imagine that we have equally as intelligent people who can work on this and who can come up with a flag policy that would allow us to putting up a pride flag is not co-opting anything. It's showing people that they are welcomed in this town. And one last thing, we were talking about one of the things that we learn about in anti-bias training is impact or intent versus impact. So acknowledging, I think one of the things what Sarah was getting at, that it's important for when mistakes are made or comments are made, it may not have been your intent, but the impact was really heavy on people. And to acknowledge that that impact, whether or not it was your intent, doesn't matter. The impact hurt people.
I can just briefly react to that in a little bit of what you said. First off, I'm not sure how comfortable you were saying everything that you said here, and so I appreciate that you did it. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, yeah, you just looked a little uncomfortable, and I guess I would be if I were sitting in your shoes and you were criticizing a guy sitting up in front like me. So first off, I appreciate you had the courage to do it, and I appreciate the sincerity of what you had to say. I will comment. This is to both of your points. In the responses that have come in through Facebook, there are. These were responses that came in through Facebook. I still have an issue, and I misworded it when I said corrupt flag. I said it was, I meant to say corrupted, and what I meant was the extension of what the flag has come to mean creates problems for me. It just does, and that's there. But there were a couple of posts on Facebook of people who are in the LGBTQ community who talked about what it meant for them, what the flag meant for them, as kind of to the point you're making, that it gave me a sense that I'm in a place where I have some reason to believe I can be a little more comfortable, that there are people who support me. I had underweighted the value of that, and it was the eloquent posts that there were like 2 or 3 of them, wasn't a lot, of people that just they weren't going after me what I said. They weren't trying to sharpen a blade on anything. They were just commenting about their experience, and I came away with a deeper appreciation of that. I understand. I won't say understand, but I know what it's like to be feeling like you're in a spot where everybody is, and I don't mean just the last 2 weeks. I know what it's like to feel like you're in a spot where it feels like everybody is looking at things in an entirely different way than you are. It can be awfully lonely. It can be scary, and I think in many cases, I can see how the LGBT, at least specific members of the LGBTQ community, can feel that isolation, threat, and insecurity a lot more deeply than just somebody who's got an opinion about something that other people around disagree with it. So I do appreciate that piece of it. I do hope that we can find ways. My point all along wasn't that I don't want to hear any good ideas on how to address this. Yeah, I do think concrete actions are the thing that means more to me, and it comes to a philosophy I have in life that it's easier to act your way into a new way of thinking than to think your way into a new way of acting. And so doing real things that are concrete that will make a difference, that's been my primary interest. But if you let me finish.
You just said to make it different, that will actually make a difference, and you are suggesting
Okay.
that doesn't make a difference, and that completely ignores
right.
what's been said
Okay,
tonight.
let me cut my comment here, that's fine. I appreciate your comments, and I shared the most important thing, so I'll cut it here.
So we've got some comments from Jamie O'Loughlin online, and she's basically asking about what are the next steps. And I think that's what's on my mind. Sarah, is your group going to come back to the select board with a proposal, or how did your group want to proceed?
Well, so our initial email, we had an official response to it, we didn't know that it was gonna be mentioned, sorry. So, yeah, we would love an official response from the select board, because we have many ideas. We're ready to work with you. I don't know that we're coming with a proposal as much as that being our next step, because we didn't get a response to our initial email. So we certainly can put together a proposal if that is kind of the conclusion of this meeting, that you would like us to see us put together a more lengthy, detailed proposal with various ideas. Is that if that's kind of what you're requesting? Yes, we will put together a proposal. But I guess we were hoping to get an initial response to what we wrote first.
So, Mr. Murphy, do you have an idea of what we should do going forward? And then Ms. Murphy.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I thought the group was going to come up with ideas, so I'm looking for ideas. I'm not looking for a particular proposal on a particular thing, because we haven't decided on it. But that's what the email said you were going to do. That's what I was expecting you to do.
Ms. Murphy?
Go ahead, if you want to.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm
She's
saying
about to answer a question.
that we sent the email. We hadn't received a response to the email. So typically, when you're corresponding with someone, you send them something, you wait for someone to come back, and that I'm just saying we hadn't received a response, so we weren't planning on putting together something additional without first getting that response. I've listed a few other ideas, in terms of recognizing Pride Month. We came to you knowing that this was going to take time, planning on it being a process. We didn't come to you and say, let's do it right now, which was at the beginning of June, but we knew that it would be 2027 that we would have our sights on. Yes, we are happy to put together a proposal if that is what you are asking of us. And we have many ideas, and we would welcome ideas from other people in the community as well.
Ms. Murphy?
So why don't we say, because the month of July, I don't even know if we're meeting, August, we don't meet until, I think, the 14th, 15th. So if there's any chance to regroup in September, October, but I can tell you for certain in September, probably the latter half of September, I'll do another community conversation, right? So I will be accessible 100%. Again, not just on this topic like the other night, a variety of topics, so it just gives residents a chance to have a one-on-one. Pete does his office hours at the senior center. I'm just going to be doing community conversations. Really no different, just calling it something different and giving hopefully a wider breadth of people to come in and chat, and that might be an opportunity to just do a sounding board.
And if I can just weigh in terms of process, you didn't receive a formal response because the board can't issue a formal response unless they're all together. So that part of what got delayed is we didn't get it on the agenda for the last one. It got mentioned in a select board report. So tonight's the first time they can all three of them sit together and talk about it. So.
Yes, and that wasn't an attack. I was just saying
No.
The reason we haven't said something further is just that
for everybody to understand
process
it's
oriented.
archaic, and it makes it really hard for the select board to do business by email. So
okay, and I also do want to say that we have put together a survey that we will be sending out to ask people for ideas and for their position. So we are gathering information. We are hoping to, solicit ideas from the larger community as well.
So I would suggest to you, Sarah,
So there are 7 of us, and I am not. I think he said everyone in town. I don't know how that works. I am not the surveyor. I am not a statistician. And now I'm like going through my group text to try to see if he elaborated. But I know that that's something that we're working on is soliciting feedback from more people in the community.
So Sarah, I would suggest that this is not the sort of issue that the select board can resolve at a select board meeting and work through and come up with a plan. I think that work needs to be done outside the select board meetings, and so that we can respond best if you make a proposal to us.
Proposals for individual things. I mean, so I think that there, in that case, would be multiple proposals put forward, because this wouldn't be, we want the town to formally recognize Pride Month. Mm-hmm. That is the how is the collaborative conversation, but the formal recognition of Pride Month is the ask. So how we do that and what can the town do to recognize Pride Month or to become more supportive of the LGBTQIA+ community, that's where we're soliciting community feedback and ideas and suggestions. But for example, one of the towns that's listed on our website is Millis. They formally recognize Pride Month, but they don't hang a flag. But they formally recognize Pride Month. So there's nuance to this. Right. So I think that the ask to the town and where the select board comes in is that formal recognition, and the how is the part that we will, that we're committing to work with you on between now and next June.
But I think we have a point that we can work with here. I appreciate what you just said. And I think we actually have, in terms of the objective, I think we can work together to get there.
Yep.
Anything further? All right.
Thank you.
Then we're going to move on to our next item, which is action items. Number 6, board and committee appointments, resignations. Accept the resignation of Anthony Papantonis from the school building committee. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Yeah, so moved. Regrettably, he's a good guy, but
Regrettably.
he's swamped, so he had to resign.
Echo the regrettably, but I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Next is a vote to accept and sign the Cybersecurity Community Compact Grant. And can we maybe get told what the hardware purchases and the
Can I jump in real
redundant
quick before we-
DCs are?
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick for the last one? We're accepting his resignation. We appointed him, so what's the timing on us reappointing somebody to school?
We need to
It's really
advertise, we need to advertise ASAP.
Okay.
that you're looking
Because
for a
I would
member.
like to make sure no later than, if we're not gonna have a meeting in July,
You have to appoint them at the August meeting.
we have to, yeah. Because it's not fair for them, because they're really getting stretched with having quorum.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. And the Permanent Planning and Building Committee is having their meeting tomorrow to appoint their member, so that will also give us another person.
Okay.
So
All right.
moving in the
So-
right direction.
Okay.
Yes, so the grant that we applied for this year is the first year that the Executive Office of Technology Services and Security for the Commonwealth offered this grant. And we applied for, the first step in applying for the grant is doing what they call a risk factor assessment. And it was a no-cost cybersecurity assessment to determine where our weaknesses were. And then, based on that assessment, they asked you to fill out the grant and request for, let me see, hold on, give me 1 second. We had 3 areas that were identified in the assessment as weaknesses, and those were redundancy and failure capabilities, and how we host our servers in terms of age. And the third was our content filtering, and that was some spam training that will happen and some phishing emails that will happen for town and school staff. But it will also replace several of our servers and allow us to do that training.
Chris, it said redundant DC. What is DC?
Center. Data center.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, data center. Yep.
Any further questions?
Total value is $88,392 for anybody who wants to know.
Yes, and there were only a handful of towns that received the grant. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Only 19 towns or school districts that received the grant, so we were very appreciative to be included in that first
A
round.
lot of money. Do we have a motion then?
Yes, we vote to accept and sign the Sudbury Community Compact Grant for $88,392.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Number 8, vote to accept the rental increases for 1318 Henry Way that are as published in the agenda.
And these are both below the 5% that the select board had set was the maximum increase.
Yep.
Any questions about this?
Nope, that's,
Oh.
nope, we're good.
Do we have a motion then?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 9, authorize Brittany Franklin, Assistant Town Administrator, to sign Community Choice Aggregation contracts as backup for the Town Administrator.
So this is just a Plan B, just in case I was on vacation. Brittany would cover for me, and obviously you had already appointed me to sign the community choice aggregation.
Did
but-
you think that Germany was going to win and you're going to be at World Cup and she wouldn't be here to do that?
Well, you know, these things happen.
And I could add the bid, there was an initial delay in moving ahead with the pre-bid and the bid because there, I think I explained this in the last meeting, there's a regulatory, the ISO, which is the oversight organization that makes sure electric supply is reliable across New England, has a provision where they charge producers a certain amount of money to pay for the operations of ISO and the steps that are taken to ensure the reliability of supply. The cost of that it's turned out to be higher for the producers than was originally anticipated when we signed our last contract. So it's likely that the producers, this whole thing was in flux as far as what it was ultimately going to come out to be. So we were advised to delay the bid. When we were advised to delay it, we didn't actually have a rebid date pending this whole thing sort of sorting itself out so that the producers would have a better view of what it was actually going to cost them. We now have the fallback dates scheduled for, where are we at here? It is help me out,
July 6th and
Brittany.
7th.
Yes, July 6th.
Yeah, so now actually Brittany's on vacation and I'm here, so.
So should we dismiss this?
So I think just in case if it got pushed off again, I think we just,
Okay,
Yeah.
so the pre-bid meeting is on the 6th, and the actual bid meeting, which is where where we make decisions and people have to sign things, is going to be at noontime on the 7th of July. So you're recommending we go ahead with it anyway?
I would go with it just
case-
in case it gets pushed off
Okay.
again and I'm out of town,
Got it.
Brittany will fill in.
Okay.
I would suggest that maybe going forward that we just do that as a routine thing.
Yes.
Authorize you or the Assistant Town Administrator always.
I think that's great.
Um,
I'm going on vacation.
Questions, Eileen Murphy?
No, I'm good.
Motion then, please.
All right, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Number 11, vote to authorize $2,050 for repairs of the clock tower from the Municipal Building Stabilization Emergency Fund.
I had one question on this. Is there something being fixed about the clock, or is it a painting project and they're looking at what they need to do to spiff the clock up?
So a couple of different things. I put repairs on here, but I was jumping the gun a little bit. This was actually an evaluation. So Glenn DeBate came to me about a month ago and said, the town owns the clock, which we all know. We're having people take a lift up to do some repair work on the weather vane. Do you think is there any way the town could help us split the cost of the lift to go to the top, and at that same time, we'll do an evaluation of the condition of the outside? We know there's some work that needs to be done, and I said, absolutely. We thought it would be much higher. It came in at 2,000, so it was great. This will be the first step. They'll provide us with an evaluation of what they think needs to be done to the outside, which we haven't had work done in a significant period of time on the outside. And then we will include that in the capital budget for funding next year out of the budget. So
And this has already happened, because I saw them up on the steeple with the lift. It was
Yes, and
dramatic looking.
they were willing to pay for it themselves, but I thought it's only fair, we do own the town portion of that, that steeple, so we worked out an agreement. So I would recommend that we go forward with
Today,
it.
the weather vane disappeared for some reason, but it's back.
It's back. They had to fix it. They actually have some incredible pictures of the damage that had been done to the weather vane, so.
Hmm. Any further questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Motion, please.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 11, vote to sign the Sharp Cookie Consultant Health Inspector Contract for Public Health Department for $7,000 for FY '27.
So this is our standard contract. Steve was working on it. The contractor had provided their normal form, their own form. And so at your seat, you should have an updated version of the contract in our own form.
So it's the same terms and everything, it's incorporated into our
Yeah,
terms.
just our
Because
normal
Marcus reviewed
contract.
it.
And this helps Steve rush out, because he,
Yes, we
Yes.
definitely need to have our inspectors on hand.
good.
Any questions on this?
Give me 1 second. So it's just a cute name of the company?
It's just a cute name, Sharp Cookie
Got it.
Consultant.
Okay.
Yeah.
No question.
A perfect stranger, Sharp
Yeah,
Cookie
yeah.
Consultant. We like
Do we
to
have
play
a
on
motion
food here.
You're all set, Gus?
I'm all set.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Number 12, vote to sign the annual contract with Rona Cairns for clinical oversight to employees at Medfield Outreach. Any questions?
No. This is just a
This is our annual.
reissue of the one we've done for several years.
Do we have a motion then, please?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda, number 13, block party permit for Damon and Harmon. Those are streets from 4 to 7
Those streets are
p.m.
residents.
on
those
September
are
19, rain
That's
date
up by, that's the Enclave.
20th. Number 14, one-day beer wine request for July 16, 30, August 13, 27 for Zulu's Thursdays on the Deck from 6 to 11. And number 15, one-day beer wine request for July 18 for 8 to 12 for the outdoor movie screening with Coolidge Corner Theaters and Rocky Woods Reservation. Do we have a motion?
They didn't say what the movie they were showing this year is.
We didn't, I'll have to check with them.
Okay.
I know, they usually tell us what they're
Yeah,
showing.
I'm just curious what they're doing.
Should that be 8 PM to 12 AM?
No, they're having a drink fest.
I'm just-
So it's, yeah, obviously 8 PM to 12 AM, yes.
12 a.m.
11:59 PM.
All right, motion there, so moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No gifts, no citizen comment, meeting minutes, June 2nd.
I approved them last time, so.
Those are a carryover from last week. I mentioned that I was okay with the minutes, but I had made some significant edits
Oh,
to
all
those.
right.
And so as long as you're okay with the edits,
Yeah,
then
haven't
I was
looked at
okay.
them, so I should look at them first then. Town administrator updates.
Just wanted to point out that we had moved our goals session to Thursday, July 16th, 8:30 to 1 PM, and that will be at the Public Safety Building.
Mr. Murby,
Not too much. Let's see. Hold on a second. I think the major, I got a couple things. We moved the CCA meetings. You knew about that. The NFC, I've been reporting to you on this national fitness campaign. And we haven't actually had our next call with Renee, who's the contact person we've had. She's pushed hard because she's been trying to get a grant application in place. And after having gotten feedback from Kathy, watched where Parks and Rec is, and I actually had a conversation with Christine, I actually think that we don't have any kind of critical mass of enthusiasm to move ahead with this thing. So at this point in time, unless you want me to keep trying to pedal the bike uphill, I'm going to get Renee, I'll give Renee a call and let her know that I just don't think we've got the critical mass around
This year.
enthusiasm on
Yeah.
this. It's potentially it would be a nice asset to have in town. On the other hand, if we go and spend money on an asset that gets put someplace and doesn't get used, then, you know, you're not doing anybody a favor. So it looks like that just doesn't have the traction to be worth doing anything about. The MBTA Advisory Committee had a Zoom call, which was sort of it was an interesting update because they brought a guest speaker in from the, I think it's Mass Fiscal Alliance, that basically gave some explanation of the rationale behind the budgeting process and where things stood. So it's not really, we already passed the budget, it was just sort of an observation about the state and how the state funds the MBTA and things like that. And it was just useful background, so it was a pretty good meeting. The Norfolk County Advisory Board had another pop-up meeting in part of the ongoing public dispute with the Register of Deeds. And it's just a painful process. I wish we had a way to get around it, but we don't seem to. I attended the American Legion meeting last Tuesday because we didn't have any meetings last Tuesday. And it was a good meeting. They there's a disabled veteran who's actually been competing in these national athletic events, who came and spoke about the events that he's been in. He was, unfortunately, he was blown up in an IED and is a quadriplegic, but it's pretty impressive, the events that they have. They have wheelchair rugby. He himself knows how to swim, so he competes in the swimming events. The shot put, and he's in a wheelchair, but the shot put, the javelin, there were like about 20 different events that people can compete in, and all told, he was competing in something like 8 of them. So it was impressive. He was actually looking for somebody to accompany him to the, this year's competition is in Detroit in July. He needs somebody to be there with him. They don't have to be like a trained health professional, but he does need help kind of navigating the travel and navigating hotels and stuff like that. So I'm hoping he gets somebody that steps in to help him out. He was a nice guy, and he's been doing this since the 1990s. So it was, I think he was like an 1988 VMI grad. So it was good. Anyway, it was nice seeing him there. And that's it.
Ms. Murphy.
All right, quite a few things here. So after our last meeting, the following night, we had a school building committee meeting where they had a chance to give an update. 7 architect firms have submitted interests, and so there's a subcommittee that'll be moving forward with that. They also talked about the virtual community forum, which was being held the following night. And that night was really to learn about the progress so far and next steps for the future building. Next steps for the future school building project. And I had a chance to catch up with Carolyn Casey, and she said there was a decent attendance, good Q&A, so that was good. Thursday night, I sat in the Concom meeting like I have many, many times before. On Monday night, Tuesday night, I sat in the dog control bylaw meeting. Really good conversation. There's actually, so in prepping for that meeting, I had shared with everyone the Open Space and Parks and Rec report, which is like hundreds of pages. In that, it talks about all the different spaces around town, and they have the dog control bylaw group, as well as a resident in town, highlighted a couple of areas that they think are worth looking at. So they are planning to walk some of those properties, I believe, next week. As I mentioned earlier in this meeting, I held the community conversation a week ago tonight, had a nice turnout, had roughly about 20 people. I will definitely follow up and do that again and do it quarterly. But Jean's no longer here, but she did ask a question. So it wasn't all about the whole Gus comment, it was about a variety of topics. And one of them was the state hospital and the status of the access road. And I told her we don't have that status update. We're not there yet until everything closes. But Bob did ask he was curious as to who technically still owns the state hospital land, and we technically still own it, though we have an LDA. It's not in Trinity's hands 100% until everything is
Correct.
pulled.
The piece of property that Jean is referring to is actually still held by DCAM, but will eventually be transferred to DCR.
And then received a variety of emails and calls. I had a chance to follow up with a variety of citizens. One, though, that came in from us, at least to me, I don't know if it came to all of you guys, was from the moderator, and it was about some trash on Plain Street. And I know that the chief jumped on that and is sending some patrol. So I'm hoping that the resident that's sending the info on that, hopefully they're not getting more trash and beer cans, et cetera, being dumped along Plain Street. That whoever's doing it is going to stop. I did have a one-on-one, I will say, after our conversation, our last select board meeting, I had a chance to meet with Deb Barrows, because as I had mentioned in our meeting, I'd met with her many times, and I certainly wanted to meet with her after the conversation that took place at this table. And it was a very nice conversation. And then sat in the meeting, and I think that the meeting went really well. I was really happy. Some things that maybe could have been contentious turned out to be very helpful and collaborative. So I was thrilled that everything went the way it did, and I'm thrilled that. Yeah, that was a good. And I sent a note afterwards saying, I really appreciate it. That was awesome. So that'd be that.
I had two things that I noticed this week about the public safety. One was the new fire truck, and it sticks out a mile behind the back wheels. It's really remarkable for how far it extends out. And the second thing was I just happened to be walking past the public safety building when the kids who were in the police academy went running around the building with the chief, and so that was fun to see. And I asked the firefighters that were telling me about the fire truck, the new fire truck to us, if they were going to do a camp, and it hadn't occurred to me that they can't do a camp because they're called out on calls all the time. And then the other thing that I would just, it's just a personal matter. My wife, Deb Barrows, is an attorney, and she won a case in the appeals court yesterday that was just a remarkable case. This family's kid had been taken away from them at birth and had been kept away from the birth parents for 4 years and was returned to the birth parents by the appeals court decision on Monday. It's just a remarkable win for Deb and the family. And that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
We do. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Thank you.
So